Okay, it's time for another classic album review. And I've covered a lot of like 70s prog, and I wanted to cover a few albums that were a little bit more modern. And I couldn't think of a better album to talk about than this one here. So let's dive in. Ghost Reveries by Opeth. And I always trip over Reveries. I always want to say like Reveries or something along those lines. Anyway, Ghost Reveries is the 8th studio album by the Swedish technical progressive death metal band. This was their first album signed with Roadrunner Records, and the first one, if you can believe, since Still Life, without Steven Wilson as producer. You can definitely feel that. So the last 3 albums, you know, you had Blackwater Park, you had Deliverance, and you had Damnation. They were all, you can feel the Steven Wilson essence on there. And even though Steven Wilson isn't on this, you can still feel the presence of Steven Wilson here. What I particularly love about this album is after the 1-2 punch of the brutal and bombastic and relentless album of Deliverance, and the quiet and haunting and sinister album that was Damnation, you know, we didn't quite know what to expect from the band. The band had just released essentially like an acoustic album without any growls, without any of the blast beats, but it was still raw, it was still brutal, it was very haunting, as I mentioned, and a lot of that you could feel a lot of the Steven Wilson kind of flavors and thumbprints all over it. So when it came to Ghost Reveries, they're back with the growls, they're back with the aggression, and they came out with, you know, the big track of Ghost of Perdition, which is probably one of my favorite Opeth tracks of all time. And it starts off with this big bombastic blast. You know, it used to be a meme for a while. You know, it was Ghost of Perdition at 8 seconds, where, you know, you have that strumming of the guitar, and then that Ghost of Mother still makes my heart sputter. You know, it still gives me joy. All of the things that make Opeth are found on this one track. You know, we have that aggression, we have that bombacity, we have that raw power, but we also go into many different vignettes of beautiful music. So even though there's this really big and powerful punch, there's this minstrel section and these really beautiful guitar licks. And like every time I listen to it, my jaw drops of just how quick paced, how quickly they go from one passage to another, and how it's able to like bounce from like section to section to section. Beautifully well done. The other thing that I really, really love about this album is the amount of space and the amount of mellotron and synths that are found on this one. This is especially found within Atonement and Hours of Wealth, where they allow themselves to be very mellow, very airy. You know, they're taking a page from Damnation and giving themselves permission to not be so brutal and not be so intense. And they've done this on past records as well. I mean, look at Face of Melinda, and allowing themselves to be a little bit more haunting, a little bit more subdued in that sense. Really, really enjoy like this permission that they give just to take up space and just to allow a lot of synths to come in and fill out that sound. Man, I love that. But I also love the aggression and those powerhouse songs. You know, I already mentioned Ghost of Perdition, but I also love Bane of the Hounds. I love Michael's voice on here, both in the growling aspect of it, but also in the clean vocals. Like when he starts off with that, the Bane of the Hounds, it's just so beautiful. And the one that I think really caps it off is Reverie, Harlequin Forest. Like I love how that track starts off with that guitar lick and Michael's clean vocals that slides right into the mar and the juice of that track. Love that one. But it really is like the thing that really caps this off for me are the last 2 tracks, the Grand Conjuration and Isolation Years. The Grand Conjuration is one of my absolute favorites within Opeth. I love that. Like, I love the groove of this track. I love the playing styles of this one. And this is the kind of style that they would continue to use in their more like jazz path style of music. You know, this is part of the reason why I absolutely love Pale Communion as well as Incaudium Vididum, I think that was nice. Again, more grooving style of music. This like really bombastic and like aggressive style, but in this more smooth and bouncy expression. Love the Grand Conjuration for that one. I love just bouncing off the walls to this one. But really, it is the intimate, it is the heart-wrenching, it is the powerful track of Isolation Year that really redefined this album, because I know when they went into the recording studio, they were hoping to make this big concept album about being haunted, about lineage. There are certain tracks on here that have this very like connected framework, like talking about ghosts, being haunted by your lineage, being haunted by your memories, and there's almost a through line throughout this. But then Isolation Years come on, and it basically threw all of that out the window, and they decided to pick up the threads with the next album of Watershed. But really, it was Isolation Years that put the final bow, the final idea of this album to fruition, where they had to go back and kind of build the album around it, because I love how haunting, how somber, and how brilliantly beautiful this is. This is taking the best moments of Damnation and really bleeding it out into this bigger arena style of sound. Like, this track is huge. This track is massive by being so intimate and so small. And I know that's a little bit of an oxymoron. I know I'm contradicting myself, but it really is that expression and that style of music. So, yeah, the thing that I love most about Ghost Reveries is how contradictory it is. You know, it's brilliantly aggressive and bombastic, but it's also hauntingly beautiful and intimate. You know, I love both the growls and the expressions and the sombers and the emotions. It's these two ideas that really make this project so special to me. It's easily one of my favorite Opeth albums, and it's a brilliant start for anybody looking to get into a more aggressive style of progressive rock, you know, because there's enough leniency in terms of the aggression to allow you to stomach those more jaded pills of the harsh vocals and the aggression. If you haven't listened to it lately, or you haven't heard of it at all, I highly recommend checking it out. As I mentioned, it's one of my all-time favorites. I think it's my second favorite Opeth album next to Pale Communion. Yeah, this one absolutely is a must listen to for any progressive rock enjoyer. So there you go. There's my thoughts on Ghost Reveries. What do you guys think about this album? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know by commenting down below. And this album is obviously in a series of classic albums. Doing them every Thursday for as long as I can. What albums would you like me to listen to? I've already got a short list prepared, and I'm just going to work my way through them. And I'm not going to hold myself fast to this every Thursday. There has to be one. It's, if I can, then I will. So there you go. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.